What do you mean you're sleeping in my bed? Maya's voice cracked as she stared at the man lounging against her hotel room doorframe. His designer suit perfectly pressed, his dark eyes dancing with amusement. Sleeping together doesn't mean what you think it means, sweetheart, he said, his Korean accent wrapping around the English words like silk. In Korea, we have a saying, sometimes the most innocent intentions lead to the most dangerous consequences. And that's exactly what happened to Maya Johnson when she accidentally switched room keys with Korea's most powerful billionaire, Kang Min-jae, at a luxury Manhattan hotel. In this story, you'll discover how one naive misunderstanding turned into a whirlwind of secrets, lies, and a romance that could destroy everything both of them had worked for. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on those notifications so you'll be the first to know when the next mind-blowing episode drops. And please, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to see all my amazing viewers from around the world. Maya had never seen so much white marble in her life. The lobby of the Peninsula Hotel in Manhattan gleamed under crystal chandeliers, each surface polished to perfection. She clutched her worn canvas tote bag closer, suddenly aware of how out of place she looked among the designer luggage and tailored suits surrounding her. Her friend Jasmine had insisted she take this gift. "Girl, you've worked so hard for your master's degree. You deserve one weekend of luxury. My parents won't take no for an answer." Maya had protested, of course. She wasn't comfortable accepting such extravagant gifts. But Jasmine's family had been like a second family to her through graduate school, and refusing would have hurt their feelings. Still, as Maya stood in that opulent lobby, watching wealthy guests glide past in their expensive clothes, she felt like an imposter. Her simple black dress from Target and her department store heels suddenly felt painfully inadequate. She tucked a curl behind her ear, a nervous habit her grandmother always teased her about. "Miss Johnson." The concierge smiled warmly, sliding a key card across the counter. "Welcome to the Peninsula. You're in room 2547. Maya's fingers trembled as she took the key. This wasn't her world. She was a 24-year-old graduate student from Brooklyn, here only because her best friend's wealthy family had gifted her this weekend stay as a graduation present. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. "Fancy hotels don't change who you are. Hold your head high." She rode the elevator alone, watching the numbers climb. 25 floors up felt like entering another universe. When the doors opened, plush carpet muffled her footsteps as she searched for her room. The hallway itself was intimidating. Artwork that probably cost more than her student loans lined the walls, and the silence was thick, the kind of quiet that only money could buy. Maya's heart thudded as she approached room 2547, her palms slightly sweaty as she gripped the key card. Room 2547. She swiped the card. Green light. The door clicked open. Maya stepped inside and froze. This wasn't just a hotel room, it was a penthouse suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the glittering Manhattan skyline. A grand piano sat in one corner. Fresh orchids perfumed the air. And standing by the window, phone pressed to his ear, was a man who made her heart stop. He was tall, impeccably dressed in a black suit that probably cost more than her entire year's tuition. His sharp jawline and dark hair styled with casual perfection made him look like he'd stepped out of a Korean drama. When he turned and their eyes met, Maya's breath caught. For a moment, neither of them moved. He was in mid-sentence, his voice smooth and authoritative as he spoke rapid Korean into the phone. But his words trailed off as he stared at her, dark eyes widening slightly in surprise. "I'll call you back," he said into the phone, his voice smooth and commanding. He hung up, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. I'm sorry," Maya stammered, backing toward the door. Her face burned with embarrassment. Of course this wasn't her room. How could she have thought someone like her would be given a suite like this? "I think I have the wrong room." "Do you?" He tilted his head, a slight smile playing at his lips. "What room number is on your key?" Maya glanced down at the key card sleeve, her hands shaking slightly. 2547. Interesting. He pulled a key card from his pocket, holding it up. "So is mine." Her eyes widened. "That's impossible." Apparently not. He moved closer, and Maya caught the scent of expensive cologne, cedar and something darker, more dangerous. His presence seemed to fill the room, commanding and magnetic. "I'm Kang Min-jae." The name hit her like a physical blow. Kang Min-jae. Even someone as disconnected from celebrity culture as Maya knew that name. He was the youngest son of the Kong Group Empire, a Korean conglomerate worth billions. He'd made headlines recently for expanding into American real estate and entertainment. Magazines called him the Prince of Manhattan's Korean elite. She'd seen his face on the cover of Forbes just last month at the dentist's office. "I know who you are," Maya whispered. "Good. That saves time." His dark eyes traveled over her, not in a leering way, but with genuine curiosity. It was like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. "And you are?" Maya Johnson. "I should go. There's obviously been a mistake." "Wait." His voice stopped her mid-turn, commanding but not harsh. "You paid for this room?" "My friend's family did. As a gift." Maya clutched her bag tighter, suddenly feeling even more out of place. "For my graduation. I just got my master's in social work." Something flickered in his expression, interest, maybe, or respect. "Social work. That's admirable." "It's just what I want to do," Maya said quietly. "Help people who need it." Min-jae's expression darkened as he pulled out his phone, dialing quickly. "James, there's been an error with my accommodation." "Yes, room 2547. "No, I'm not alone." His eyes found Maya's, and she felt pinned by that gaze. "There's a young woman here who also has a key to this room." Maya's stomach dropped as she listened to the one-sided conversation. She could hear an agitated male voice on the other end, though she couldn't make out the words. Min-jae's jaw tightened with each passing second, his expression growing darker. When he hung up, his jaw was tight with barely controlled frustration. "It seems," he said carefully, "that there was a computer glitch. Both reservations were confirmed for the same suite. The hotel is completely booked due to the Korean-American Business Summit this weekend. Every room is taken." Maya's heart sank. "So what does that mean? I can just go home." "It's fine. This was supposed to be a gift anyway, and Brooklyn, right?" Min-jae interrupted, surprising her. "That's at least an hour from here, probably more with Friday evening traffic. And you've already paid for the room, or your friends have. How did you know I'm from Brooklyn?" A slight smile touched his lips. "Your bag. There's a button from that bookstore in Park Slope. The used one on 7th Avenue. Maya glanced down at her tote bag, surprised. She'd forgotten about the pin she'd attached months ago. "You know it. I've been there. Best used poetry section in the city." He paused, then said, "It means that we're going to be sleeping together." Maya's face burned. "Absolutely not. I don't mean it like that." He had the audacity to look amused, one corner of his mouth quirking up. "This suite has 2 bedrooms. We're both adults. Surely we can share a space for one night until the hotel sorts this out." "I don't know you," Maya protested, her grandmother's warnings about strange men flooding her mind. Her grandmother had raised her after her parents died in a car accident when she was 8, and she drilled into Maya the importance of being careful, especially as a young woman navigating the world alone. "You know my name. You can Google me right now if you'd like. I'm one of the most photographed men in New York." He gestured to the suite, his expression softening slightly. "I'm offering you a bedroom with a lock on the door, room service, and probably the most comfortable bed you'll sleep in this year. Or you can walk out and try to find accommodation in a city where every hotel is booked, or take that hour-plus journey back to Brooklyn. Your choice." Maya hated that he was right. She hated even more that a part of her, a small, reckless part, wanted to stay. Not because of who he was, but because of how he looked at her. Like she was a person, not just an inconvenience. "Fine," she said, lifting her chin in a gesture of defiance her grandmother would have recognized. "But I'm locking my door. And if you try anything, you'll what?" He seemed genuinely curious. "Scream? Call security? Post about it on social media? All valid options, I assure you." "I was going to say I'd make you regret it," Maya said quietly. "I grew up in Brooklyn. I know how to take care of myself." For the first time, Min-jae's smile reached his eyes, transforming his face from intimidating to almost boyish. "I believe you." He showed her to one of the bedrooms, which alone was larger than her entire Brooklyn apartment. A king-sized bed dominated the space, draped in white linens that looked impossibly soft. The attached bathroom had a soaking tub and a rain shower with more jets than she could count. Thick white towels were stacked on heated racks. "There are robes in the closet," Min-jae said from the doorway, his frame filling it completely. "Help yourself to anything you need. Room service menu is in the desk drawer. Order whatever you want, it's on me." "I can pay for my own food," Maya said quickly. "I know you can." His voice was gentle. "But you shouldn't have to. This situation isn't your fault. Let me at least provide dinner." After he left, Maya locked the door and leaned against it, her heart racing. What was she doing? This was insane. She should call Jasmine, explain the situation, figure something else out. But as she looked around the beautiful room, at the life of luxury she'd only ever glimpsed from the outside, something whispered, "Stay. Just for tonight. See how the other half lives." She pulled out her phone and texted Jasmine that she'd arrived safely, deliberately leaving out the part about her unexpected roommate. Then she opened Google and typed Kong Min-jae. The results were overwhelming. Pages and pages of photos, articles, society columns. Min-jae at charity galas, at business conferences, at exclusive clubs. Always impeccably dressed, always surrounded by beautiful people, always with that same unreadable expression. But in some of the candid shots, Maya saw something else. A tightness around his eyes, a weariness in his smile, the look of someone playing a role they were tired of playing. She understood that feeling more than she wanted to admit. An hour later, showered and dressed in the complimentary robe, which was indeed the softest thing she'd ever worn, Maya ventured out into the main living area. She debated staying in her room, ordering food and hiding until morning. But curiosity won out. Or maybe it was something else, a pull she didn't want to examine too closely. Min-jae had changed into dark slacks and a white dress shirt, the sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. He was pouring wine at the bar, his movements precise and practiced. "Join me," he offered, holding up a glass. "I don't drink," Maya said automatically. It was true. She'd seen too many families destroyed by alcohol in her social work internships. She'd promised herself she'd never go down that path. Smart. He set down the wine bottle and poured himself a glass of water instead. "Neither do I, usually. But tonight feels like an exception." He gestured to the couch. "Sit. Tell me about yourself, Maya Johnson. Why do you care?" The question came out more defensive than she'd intended. Min-jae was quiet for a moment, studying her. "Because you're interesting," he said simply. "You looked at me like I was a regular person, not a bank account or a business opportunity. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" Against her better judgment, Maya sat on the edge of the couch, perching like a bird ready to take flight at any moment. "I'm really not interesting. I just graduated with my master's in social work. I want to help families in underserved communities. That's it. That's everything." Min-jae sat in the chair across from her, maintaining a respectful distance. "Most people I meet only care about what they can take. You want to give. That's revolutionary in my circles." Something in his tone made Maya look at him more carefully. Beneath the polished exterior, she glimpsed something raw, loneliness maybe, or exhaustion. The same exhaustion she'd seen in those candid photographs. "It's not revolutionary," Maya said softly. "It's just the right thing to do. My grandmother always said, 'Baby girl, we're put on this earth to help each other. The rest is just noise.' Your grandmother sounds wise." "She is. She raised me after my parents died." Maya wasn't sure why she was sharing this. Maybe it was the intimacy of the dimly lit room, or the way Min-jae listened. Really listened, not just waited for his turn to talk. "She worked 3 jobs to put me through school. Everything I am, I owe to her. She must be very proud of you." Maya smiled, the first genuine smile since she'd walked into this surreal situation. "She is. She cried at my graduation last week. Happy tears, but still. I'd never seen her cry before." They fell into a comfortable silence. Outside the windows, Manhattan twinkled like a jewelry box, but inside the suite, it felt like they were in a bubble, separate from the world. "What about you?" Maya asked, surprising herself with her boldness. "What do you want?" Min-jae was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing the rim of his water glass. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost vulnerable. "To breathe. To be seen as something other than my family's name or my bank balance." He met her eyes, and the intensity there made her breath catch. To have one honest conversation. The vulnerability in those words struck something deep in Maya's chest. For the first time, she saw past the billionaire to the man underneath. "Tell me about your world," she said impulsively. "What's it really like?" Min-jae leaned back, a bitter smile touching his lips. "It's golden handcuffs. Everyone wants something from you. Every conversation is a transaction. Every friendship is strategic. You can't trust anyone because you never know if they like you or what you can do for them. That sounds lonely." "It is." He looked at her then, really looked at her, and Maya felt exposed under that gaze. "But then sometimes, You accidentally end up in the wrong hotel room with someone who doesn't want anything from you. And for a moment, you remember what it's like to just be human. Maya's heart thudded. This was dangerous territory. She should retreat to her room, put distance between them. But instead, she found herself saying, "Tell me more. About your world. About what it's really like being Kong Min-jae." They talked until midnight. Min-jae told her about the suffocating pressure of family expectations, how every decision he made was scrutinized by shareholders and tabloids, how his father expected him to take over the family business, even though Min-jae had dreams of doing something different, something meaningful, how he couldn't remember the last time someone had asked him what he wanted, rather than what he could provide. Maya shared stories about her grandmother who'd raised her, about growing up in Brooklyn, about the challenges she'd faced in predominantly white academic spaces. She told him about the families she'd worked with during her internships, the children who broke her heart and gave her hope in equal measure. She talked about her dreams of opening a community center one day, a place where families could get the support they needed without judgment. "You're stronger than you think," Min-jae said quietly when she finished. "Everything you've overcome, most people would have given up." "You don't know me well enough to say that," Maya countered, but her cheeks warmed at the sincerity in his voice. "Maybe not yet." His eyes held hers, dark and fathomless. "But I'd like to." The air between them shifted, charged with something Maya couldn't name. She stood abruptly, her pulse racing. "I should sleep. It's late." "Maya." He stood too, and suddenly he was close, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, could smell that cedar scent that was already becoming familiar. "Thank you. For tonight. For treating me like a person." "That's what you are," she whispered, her voice barely audible. He smiled, and it transformed his face from beautiful to devastating. "Sleep well." Back in her room, door locked, Maya lay in the darkness and tried to convince herself that the flutter in her stomach meant nothing. That Min-jae was just a stranger she'd never see again after tomorrow. But deep down, she knew she was lying. She pulled out her phone and stared at the ceiling, replaying their conversation. No one had ever opened up to her like that, so raw and honest. And she'd done the same, sharing things she usually kept locked away. Outside her window, the city never slept. And neither did Maya, her mind full of dark eyes and dangerous possibilities. Maya woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of fresh coffee. For a disoriented moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The hotel mix-up, Kong Min-jae, their conversation that had stretched into the early morning hours. She checked her phone. 9:47 a.m. She never slept this late. But then again, she'd never slept in a bed that felt like clouds either. She threw on jeans and a sweater, running fingers through her natural curls before emerging from the bedroom. She should have been embarrassed, showing up in front of a billionaire in her casual clothes, no makeup, hair unstyled. But something about last night's conversation had made her feel like she didn't need to pretend. Min-jae sat at the dining table, already dressed in another expensive suit, this one charcoal gray with a crisp white shirt. He was scrolling through his phone, his expression troubled. But when he looked up and saw her, his face softened into something warm. "Good morning," he said, and there was something in his voice, genuine pleasure at seeing her. "I ordered breakfast. I wasn't sure what you liked." Maya's eyes widened as she took in the lavish breakfast spread covering the table. Pastries, fruit, eggs, bacon, pancakes, waffles, yogurt parfaits, fresh squeezed orange juice, and more food than 10 people could eat. "This is too much," Maya breathed. "It's a Sunday morning. Indulge a little." He pulled out a chair for her, the gesture so natural she found herself sitting before she'd made a conscious decision. "The hotel called. They've sorted out the room issue. I can move if you'd prefer privacy." Maya should have said yes. Should have thanked him for his hospitality and sent him on his way. They'd had their one night of honesty, and now it was time to return to reality. But looking at him in the morning light, seeing the hope in his eyes, she found herself saying something else entirely. "What if you stayed?" He went very still. "Stayed. Just for breakfast," she added quickly, face heating. "Since the food's already here. It would be a waste to let it go cold." A slow smile curved his lips, transforming his serious expression into something almost boyish. "Just breakfast." They ate together, the morning light painting everything gold. Maya found herself laughing at his dry observations about business meetings, charmed despite herself by the way he listened when she talked, like every word mattered. He asked about her plans, her dreams, and seemed genuinely interested in the answers. My grandmother always says I'm too idealistic, Maya admitted, spreading jam on a croissant. That I can't save everyone. But you'll try anyway, Min-jae said. It wasn't a question. I have to try. What's the alternative? Just accepting that some people don't matter. Most people accept that. It's easier. Easier doesn't mean right. Min-jae studied her for a long moment. You know what I think? I think the world needs more idealists like you. They talked about everything and nothing, books, music, dreams, fears. Maya learned that Min-jae loved poetry, that he'd wanted to be a writer before his father pressured him into business. He learned that Maya was terrified of failure, that she put immense pressure on herself to succeed because she felt she owed it to her grandmother. I have a question, Min-jae said, setting down his coffee cup. There was mischief in his eyes. What did you mean last night when you said sleeping together doesn't mean what I think? Maya nearly choked on her orange juice, coughing as her face flamed. What? When you first walked in yesterday, I could tell you were terrified, like I'd suggested something inappropriate. His lips twitched. I've been curious about that. Her face burned hotter. I'd never heard that expression used that way. In America, sleeping together means something else. Understanding dawned in his eyes, and to her mortification, he laughed, a genuine, delighted sound. Ah, in Korean culture, the phrase is more literal. To sleep in the same space. It's actually quite innocent. Well, now I know, Maya muttered, unable to meet his eyes. For what it's worth, Min-jae said softly, his laughter fading into something more serious. You were right to be cautious. Smart woman, listening to her instincts. Never apologize for protecting yourself. Their eyes met and held. The moment stretched, loaded with unspoken things. Maya felt her pulse quicken, felt the air between them grow thick with possibility. A sharp knock at the door shattered it. Min-jae frowned, checking his phone. I'm not expecting anyone. He opened the door to reveal a woman who could have walked off a runway, tall, elegant, dressed in designer clothes that probably cost more than Maya's car. Her long black hair fell in perfect waves. Her makeup was flawless, and her cold eyes swept the suite before landing on Maya with obvious disdain. Min-jae appa, she said in Korean, her voice saccharine sweet. You weren't answering your phone. I was worried. Seo-yun. Min-jae's voice had gone flat, all warmth draining from his expression. What are you doing here? The woman, Seo-yun, stepped inside without invitation, her heels clicking on the marble floor like a countdown. Your mother sent me. She wants you at the family brunch. The Choi family is expecting us. Her gaze slid to Maya again, dismissive and cold. I didn't realize you had company. Maya stood, uncomfortable under that calculating stare. She recognized the look. The same look she'd gotten from wealthy classmates in graduate school, the look that said you don't belong here. I should go. No, Min-jae said sharply, his voice cutting through the tension. Then softer, almost pleading. You don't have to leave. Seo-yun's perfectly painted lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. How rude of me. Min-jae, aren't you going to introduce us? There was a beat of heavy silence. Min-jae's jaw tightened, and Maya could see him struggling with something. Park Seo-yun, this is Maya Johnson. Maya, Seo-yun is a family acquaintance. His fiancée, Seo-yun corrected smoothly, her voice sharp as a blade. The word hit Maya like a slap. Fiancée. Of course. What had she expected? That a billionaire would be single? That their one night of conversation meant anything? She'd been a fool, letting herself believe, even for a moment, that someone like Min-jae could see someone like her as anything more than a novelty. Congratulations, Maya managed, her voice hollow. She grabbed her bag from the couch, her hands shaking. I really should go. Thank you for your hospitality, Mr. Kong. The formal address was deliberate, putting distance between them. Maya, wait. Min-jae started forward, but Seo-yun caught his arm. Darling, we're going to be late. You know how your mother gets. But Maya was already at the door, pride keeping her spine straight even as something crumbled in her chest. She didn't look back. She couldn't. If she did, he might see the tears burning behind her eyes, and she'd already embarrassed herself enough. Back in her own room, a standard accommodation the hotel had frantically arranged, Maya sat on the bed and tried to convince herself she wasn't crying over a man she'd known for 12 hours. But the tears came anyway, hot and angry. She felt stupid, used, like every wealthy person she'd ever met who'd pretended to see her as an equal before reminding her exactly where she stood. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Please let me explain. Minjae. She deleted the message, then blocked the number. What was there to explain? He had a fiancée. He'd shared intimate conversations with Maya while engaged to someone else. That told her everything she needed to know about his character. She packed her things, checked out early, and took the subway back to Brooklyn. The train was crowded, smelling of too many bodies and stale coffee. But it was real. It was her world. And she'd been a fool to think she could ever belong anywhere else. 2 days later, back in Brooklyn, Maya tried to forget. She threw herself into job applications, volunteer work at the community center, anything to keep busy. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw Minjae's face, heard his voice saying, "You're interesting." Her grandmother noticed, of course. Noticed the way Maya pushed food around her plate, the way she stared off into space. "What's troubling you, baby girl?" she asked one evening, her weathered hand covering Maya's. "Nothing, Grandma. Just job stress." Her grandmother's dark eyes, still sharp at 73, saw right through her. "Don't lie to your grandmother. I changed your diapers. I know when something's eating at you." Maya sighed. "I met someone. At the hotel. It was stupid. He's engaged. I thought there was something there, but I was wrong." "Was you wrong?" her grandmother asked quietly. "Or was the timing wrong? Those are different things. Does it matter?" "Might." Her grandmother squeezed her hand. "But Maya, listen to me. Any man worth having will fight for you. If he don't fight, he wasn't worth your tears anyway." Maya nodded, but she didn't believe it. Men like Kang Minjae didn't fight for girls like her. They married women like Park Seo-yeon, perfect, polished, from the right families and the right world. She was at the library the next afternoon, researching nonprofit funding models, when her phone rang. "Jasmine, have you seen the news?" Jasmine practically shrieked. "What news?" Maya asked, already exhausted. "Jazz, I'm at the library. Kang Minjae just announced he's calling off his engagement to Park Seo-yeon. It's all over social media. TMZ, page 6, everyone's covering it. He said, 'Oh my God, Maya.' He said he met someone who made him realize he deserved to choose his own future." Maya's heart stopped. Her phone nearly slipped from her shaking hands. "What?" "There's more. He's offering a reward to anyone who can help him find a woman he met in Manhattan. He doesn't know her last name or where she lives. Just her first name. Maya." The world tilted. People in the library were starting to stare as Jasmine's voice grew louder. "Girl, there's a photo. It's grainy from hotel security footage, but Maya, it's you. You're going viral." Maya's phone exploded. Texts from numbers she didn't recognize. Friend requests on social media from people she'd never met. News outlets asking for interviews. Her email inbox filled with messages faster than she could delete them. Someone had recognized her on the subway and asked for a selfie. A reporter had shown up at the community center where she volunteered. Her grandmother's phone was ringing off the hook. She turned it all off, overwhelmed and terrified. What was Minjae thinking? Didn't he understand what this exposure would do to her life? She was a private person, someone who worked behind the scenes. She didn't want to be famous, didn't want strangers picking apart her life. The next morning, there was a knock at her apartment door. Maya opened it to find a man in a black suit, earpiece visible, looking like he'd stepped out of a movie about Secret Service agents. "Miss Johnson? Mr. Kong requests your presence. There's a car waiting downstairs. Tell Mr. Kong I'm not interested." Maya started to close the door, but the man held out an envelope. "He said you might say that. He asked me to give you this." Inside was a handwritten note on expensive stationery. "Maya, I know I've handled this badly, but I couldn't let you disappear. Not when you're the first real thing I've felt in years. Please give me a chance to explain. No pressure. No obligations. Just one conversation. The choice is yours. It always will be. Minjae. P.S. Your grandmother is right. Any man worth having will fight for you. I'm fighting." Maya stood in her doorway, the note trembling in her hands, and realized she was at a crossroads. She could close the door, return to her safe, predictable life. Let this moment fade into memory. Or she could take a leap into the unknown, into a world of wealth and scrutiny and complications she couldn't begin to imagine. Her grandmother appeared behind her, reading over her shoulder. "That boy knows how to grovel properly," she said approvingly. "You go see what he has to say. But baby girl, you make him work for it. Don't make it easy." Maya took a deep breath. "Give me 10 minutes to change." The car took her to a private building in Manhattan, all glass and steel reaching toward the sky. Security waved them through to a private elevator that opened directly into a penthouse office. Min-jae stood at the windows, hands in his pockets, looking out over the city. He looked different than he had at the hotel, more vulnerable somehow, despite the expensive suit. When the elevator doors opened and he turned, the relief on his face was so raw it made Maya's chest ache. "You came," he said, his voice rough. "You put my face on the news," Maya shot back, anger giving her courage. "What were you thinking?" "I was thinking I'd lost you. I was thinking I couldn't let you disappear without fighting for this." He moved closer, but stopped several feet away, giving her space. "Maya, Seo-yun isn't my fiancé. It was an arrangement our families made years ago, one I never agreed to. I've been trying to get out of it for months, but that morning she showed up to make a statement, to stake a claim she never had. Why didn't you tell me?" Maya's voice cracked. "Why did you let me walk out thinking?" "Because I'm an idiot," Min-jae said bluntly. "Because I was shocked that she showed up, and I didn't handle it well. I should have told you the truth immediately, but I hesitated, and in that hesitation, I lost you. You can't just turn my life upside down because you made a mistake," Maya said, but her anger was fading, replaced by something more complicated. "You're right. I can't. But I can tell you the truth." He took a careful step closer. "That night with you was the most honest I've been in years. You saw me, not my name or my money, just me. And I saw you. Your strength, your compassion, your refusal to be anything but yourself." "This is crazy," Maya whispered. "We barely know each other. Then let's change that." He stopped just in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "Give me a chance. Real dates. No hotel mix-ups or misunderstandings. Just you and me, getting to know each other. No pressure, no expectations. Just possibility." "Your world and mine are completely different," Maya said, but her voice lacked conviction. "I don't belong in penthouses and private elevators." "My world is empty," Min-jae said fiercely. "Full of people who see a name, not a person. You're the first one who looked at me and saw something real. Tell me you didn't feel it too. That night we talked, the way everything else disappeared. Tell me I imagined it." Maya couldn't, because she had felt it, that inexplicable connection that had made a stranger feel like someone she'd known forever. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice small. "Good. So am I." He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. "But I'd rather be scared with you than comfortable alone." Maya's breath hitched. This was insane. Reckless. Everything her grandmother had warned her against. But maybe, just maybe, it was also the beginning of something extraordinary. "One date," she heard herself say. "And you have to meet my grandmother." Min-jae's face broke into a devastating smile. "Deal." As he leaned down, his lips hovering just above hers, a question in his eyes, Maya realized her life was about to change in ways she couldn't begin to predict. But with her heart racing and his warmth surrounding her, she decided some risks were worth taking. The kiss, when it came, was soft and searching and full of promise. It tasted like hope and new beginnings, like the first page of a story she couldn't wait to read. Outside the window, Manhattan glittered in the afternoon sun, beautiful and indifferent to the two people finding each other in the midst of its chaos. But somewhere across the city, in a high-rise office building, Park Seo-yun sat in her father's conference room, her face twisted with rage as she watched security footage of Min-jae and Maya together on her tablet. "Find out everything about her," she told her assistant coldly, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the glass table. "Every secret, every weakness, every mistake she's ever made. If Min-jae thinks he can humiliate our family for some nobody from Brooklyn, he's about to learn what happens when you cross the parks." Her father, Park Dae-young, one of the most powerful businessmen in the Korean-American community, leaned back in his chair. The engagement was worth billions to both families. Min-jae's rejection has consequences he hasn't considered. "Let me handle this," Seo-yun said, her voice like ice. "I'll make sure that girl realizes she's playing a game she can't win. And when I'm done, Min-jae will come crawling back, begging us to forgive him." She smiled, cold and calculating, already planning her first move. Back in Min-jae's office, Maya pulled away from the kiss, breathless and overwhelmed. "What happens now?" "Now," Min-jae said, his thumb still tracing her cheek. "We take it one day at a time. I won't lie to you. My world is complicated. There will be press, scrutiny, people who will judge you for being with me. But if you're willing to try, I promise I'll do everything I can to protect you." I don't need protecting, Maya said softly. I need honesty. Then that's what you'll get. Always. As they stood there, holding each other in the fading afternoon light, neither of them noticed the photographer with a telephoto lens positioned on the building across the street, capturing every moment for tomorrow's headlines. The game had only just begun. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I truly appreciate every one of you for supporting this channel and sharing this journey with me. Part 2 will be out soon, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next, because things are about to get a whole lot more complicated for Maya and Min-jae. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave me a comment below. Tell me what you think is going to happen next, and whether you're Team Maya or Team Seoyeon. And of course, hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the next episode drops. Your support means everything to me, and I can't wait to share what's coming next. Until then, remember, sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is follow your heart.